Puss in Boots. Once upon a time, there was a poor miller who had 3 sons. When he passed away, the eldest son inherited the mill, the second son took the donkey, and the youngest was left with nothing but a cat. The youngest son sighed deeply.
What use is a cat? My brothers will work and live well, but I may soon go hungry.
Yet this was no ordinary cat. He was clever, with bright eyes that sparkled with mischief. One day, the cat spoke in a calm, confident voice.
Do not be sad, my master. If you give me a fine pair of boots and a bag, I shall make your fortune.
Though surprised, the young man agreed. With his last few coins, he bought the boots and the bag. The cat put them on, and immediately looked as proud and bold as a nobleman's servant. From that day forward, everyone called him Puss in Boots. Puss set out at once. He hunted rabbits and partridges, placing them neatly in his bag. Then he carried them to the palace and presented them to the king. Bowing low, he said,
From my master, the Marquis of Carabas.
Day after day, he brought gifts, and the king grew curious about this generous lord he had never met. One morning, Puss learned that the king and his daughter would be driving along the riverbank. He ran back to his master and said,
Go and bathe in the river just as you are. Leave the rest to me.
The young man trusted his cat and did as he was told. As soon as he was in the water, Puss hid his clothes under a stone. When the royal carriage appeared, Puss cried out,
Help! Help! My master, the Marquis of Carabas, is drowning.
The king ordered his guards to rescue the poor young man. Seeing he had no clothes, the king commanded fine garments to be brought at once. Dressed like a nobleman, the miller's son looked so handsome that the princess smiled at him with kind eyes. Meanwhile, Puss in Boots ran ahead. He came to fields where peasants were working.
Good people,
he said sternly.
The king will soon pass. If he asks whose land this is, answer that it belongs to the Marquis of Carabas. If not, you will be sorry.
Frightened and impressed, the peasants agreed. Soon, when the king's carriage stopped, he admired the rich fields and heard the workers say,
These lands belong to the Marquis of Carabas.
The king was pleased, thinking the young man both noble and wealthy. Puss hurried on until he reached a great castle owned by a fierce ogre, the richest in the land. The ogre was known for his magic, for he could change into any creature he wished. Puss, bold and clever, requested an audience.
Sir Ogre,
he said politely,
I have heard of your wondrous powers. They say you can become any animal at all. Can you truly turn into a lion?
At once, the ogre transformed into a roaring lion, so fearsome that Puss nearly leapt out the window.
Remarkable,
Puss exclaimed.
But surely it is harder to become something small, say, a mouse.
Proud and eager to show off, the ogre turned himself into a tiny mouse and scurried across the floor. In a flash, Puss pounced, and with one swift bite, the ogre was gone forever. At that very moment, the king's carriage arrived at the castle gates. Puss greeted them with a deep bow.
Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas.
The king was astonished by the grand halls, the shining windows, and the splendid feast laid out. Believing all of it to belong to the young man, the king declared,
You are a fine match for my daughter.
The princess, who had already grown fond of him, agreed with a gentle smile. Soon after, the miller's son married the princess, and they lived happily in the castle. As for Puss in Boots, he became a great lord, never again chasing mice, unless, of course, he wished to amuse himself. And so, dear one, the story of Puss in Boots reminds us that courage, wit, and a little faith can turn even the smallest gift into a treasure. Now close your eyes, feel safe and warm, and let your dreams carry you to magical places.